Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Abso and I'm a polyglot. I speak French, Spanish, English, Wolof, Creole. Now, I made a video actually detailing my journey to becoming a polyglot, and someone left a comment which went something like this. He goes by the name of Kui. Now, he says, "Thank you for the video. I have a question about how to speak English faster. Don't make long pauses. Thanks in advance." So, our good friend here, Kui, is asking how to speak English a little bit faster and to kind of remove pauses that makes his speech maybe a little bit awkward. Learning a new language is a journey. This is not something that's going to happen super fast, but I do understand that you want to get to a point where you're able to speak comfortably. By the way, English is my third language. Just a little bit of a fun fact. But yes, you want to get to a point where you're able to speak comfortably, making you enjoy learning the new language. After all, you're going to put a lot of effort into it. Now, one thing we do have to understand is that language learning happens in different stages. So you're going to need a little bit of patience. I got on the good old internet and I had a look at, my phone is buzzing. I found a little document online on colorincolorado.org, and they were speaking about second language acquisition. I am assuming that if you already speak maybe one language and you're trying to go on to your second. Now, they lay out 6 important stages that you're going to go through as you're learning your second language. What is the first one, you ask? Well, let's check it out. So the first stage is pre-production. This is also called the silent period, when the student takes in the new language but does not speak it. So basically you're mute for this time when you're in pre-production, as the name suggests. This period often lasts 6 weeks or longer depending on the individual. So pre-production, basically you're mute, you can't speak yet, all you're doing is intaking the new language. Then you move on to the second stage, and this one is early production. The individual begins to speak using short words and sentences, but the emphasis is still on listening and absorbing the new language. There will be many errors in the early production stage. So this is most commonly known as one of the most frustrating parts of learning a new language, where you're making tons of mistakes. You sound like you're incapable of anything coherent, and your brain is just struggling to assimilate with speaking a new language, and that is the real challenge here. But yeah, nonetheless, early production is when you're really starting to step 1 and 2 to kind of get the ball rolling. Now, after that one, you have the third stage, speech emergence. So as I'm reading through this, you should be wondering where in your learning stage you are at, whether you're learning Spanish, English, German, or whatever it is. Anyway, I'll shut up. All right, so your speech becomes more frequent. Word sentences are longer. The individual still relies heavily on context, clues, familiar topics. Vocabulary continues to increase. Errors begin to decrease, especially in common or repeated interactions. That's a long way of saying you're getting used to it and you're getting there. So that's the third stage, is you're understanding a few things, but you still need a lot of help and a lot of scaffolding. In teaching, we call that scaffolding, to kind of help you go on to the later stages where you're kind of crawling. Now you're gonna maybe go up to your knees and then eventually walk, which is the fluency stage. But nonetheless, stage number 4, beginning fluency. This is the word many language learners want to hear, is that they are going to become fluent in the target language they're trying to learn, which is great. We all want that. But so beginning fluency, speech is fairly fluent in social situations with minimal errors. New contexts in academic language are challenging, and the individual will struggle to express themselves due to gaps in vocabulary and appropriate phrases. Now, this is where you more or less can put a few sentences together, but you're still doing quite a lot of thinking to get the words out. This is where our friend Kui may currently be in, where he gets on a roll, says a few things where it feels comfortable, and then there's a gap where vocabulary just does not exist. And this is what actually causes your speech to stall, making you appear like a slow speaker. So Kui, have a think of, especially if this stage relates to you, because you can kind of understand the errors and the issues you can fix to move on to the next stage. And the next stage is intermediate fluency. Communicating in the second language is fluent. especially in social language situations. The individual is able to speak almost fluently in new situations or in academic areas, but there will be gaps in vocabulary knowledge and some unknown expressions. There are very few errors, and the individual is able to demonstrate higher order thinking skills in the second language, such as offering an opinion or analyzing a problem. Basically, people that speak the second language you're trying to learn, your target language, can comfortably have a conversation with you. Now, there are still some higher order words lacking, but more or less you can offer your opinion, analyze problems, the situation, and you're able to more or less be social, which is the important component of when you're learning a new language. You want to be able to exercise and speak the language in a social settings, because that is where you're most likely going to need it the most. So intermediate fluency is a stage where you get to where you actually enjoy all the work you've put into it, and you're able to enjoy speaking the language when you need to. So you're kind of like on a cruise, but obviously all of us want to get to max fluency, and this is the next one here, next stage, advanced fluency. The individual, I can't say individual, the individual communicates fluently in all contexts and can maneuver successfully in new contexts. When exposed to new academic information. So get this, I was just about to edit the video and I realized my audio cut out. But let's go through the last stage of this. So advanced fluency. This is the stage that most of us want to get to when we're learning a second language. You want to get to the point where you're comfortable in speaking. But anyway, the individual communicates fluently in all contexts, can maneuver successfully in new contexts, and when exposed to new academic information. Basically, you're flexible, you can maneuver the language as you wish to serve the purpose of the communication you're trying to do. You're basically in full control here. But it says, at this stage, the individual may still have an accent. So, you know, some people can speak a second language absolutely comfortable, but the accent doesn't go away. So that doesn't mean they're not fluent, okay? So it doesn't mean they may still have an accent, and use idiomatic expressions incorrectly at times, which is what I was saying. Sometimes, yeah, some cultural stuff, idiomatic expressions, you can get them wrong, but that doesn't mean you're not fluent. But the individual is essentially fluent and comfortable communicating in the second language. And the key word there is comfortable communicating in the second language. You have no worry. You can just, you know, either speak French or Spanish. It doesn't matter to you because you're fluent in both. But there you go. So to our friend Kiwi, have a think about which stages of language learning you're currently at. Therefore, you can identify some of the problems you need to solve. You may have some gaps in vocabulary that you don't know about, or you're still sort of getting over some of the quirkier sides of the language. But one practical thing that I can recommend that you do to improve the speed that you can speak English at is to read. Reading is an extremely good way to download really well-written target language information. Obviously, an author would have had to written that. The author is native in English and they have a writing ability that is high enough to make a book. So you're going to inherit some of that wisdom by reading and sounding out some of the more advanced sentence constructions, and also learning vocabulary in the process, which will help you kind of not have so many gaps. So Kiwi, make sure you read, and obviously go out to social settings where you can actually practice speaking your target language. But nonetheless, there you have it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I work as a video editor, so it's been a long day, but I just wanted to make this video real quick and get it out to you. If you enjoyed it, leave something in the comment section. In fact, I want to know what language you're currently learning right now and which stage do you think you're at. I'll leave the link to this website so you can have a look for yourself and kind of identify where you're sitting at the moment with your language learning journey. Remember, it's a marathon, okay? Thanks so much for tuning in. See you later. Au revoir. Hasta luego.